The essence of Advaita Vedanta can be put in this way. To realize that I am consciousness and consciousness is all. That's it. First step is to realize that I am consciousness and nothing but consciousness. So that we will do in a non-dual meditation now. Then the next step we will see in this session itself, that this consciousness which we will discover experientially is all. So these two things we will do. First, a non-dual meditation to discover that I am consciousness. This is the Neti meditation. To make it as simple as possible, it's like this. Whatever is an object, it's an object to me, it's not me. You proceed in this way. Here is the book. I look at this book and I say, it is not me. It is not me. Sitting relaxed, straight and relaxed. Look at the body, the hand or any part of the body, and clearly see it. It's an it, an object. I am that to which this it, the body, appears. Neti, not me. This is not me. It's an it. Why is it not me? It's an it, an object. Put the hand down, sitting straight, relaxed. Close the eyes gently. The way this will proceed is to go to subtler and subtler aspects of our experience right now, trying to discover what am I. First aspect of our experience is the world outside. It is not me because it's an object. Second aspect, we looked at the body. It is not me because it's an object, neti. More inner to the body, more subtler, more inward is the breath. As we breathe in, observe the breath at your nostril. And breathe out, observing the out-breath at your nostril. Breathe in and breathe out. Clearly note, it is an it. That breath, that thing, that process, that intake of the air and that outflow of the air. It appears to me. It is an object. It is not me. Neti. Not it, not that, not that. Let us focus on something even more interior, even more subtle than the body and the breath. Our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions. Look inside. But each thought, each feeling, each perception, each emotion, each memory, clearly I experience it. Though it's very subtle, very intimate, very internal, I clearly experience it. It, object. Bring a thought clearly to mind, a thought as simple as ABCD. Bring it clearly to mind, ABCD. Say unto yourself internally, ABCD. That's a thought. That's the mind talking internally. Clearly an object, it, that ABCD is an it, an object, not me. It appears to me, but it's not me. Thoughts are not me, neti. Feelings are not me, neti. Memories are not me, no matter how beloved, how cherished, or how disturbing, memories are not me. Because they are it. Neti. More subtle, more inwards than the thinking of the mind, the feeling of the mind, the perceptions in the mind. More subtle, more inwards than the body, more inwards than the breath, more inwards than the mind. is the intellect itself, which we are now using to carefully understand and pay attention. This intellect right now, notice the ideas that it has, the concepts that we have in that intellect. They're also it, very subtle, but they are it, object. Take a simple concept, 2 plus 2, 4. This understanding how 2 and 2 make 4. This is an understanding. This is part of the intellect. But that's also an it, it's an object. Take another even more intimate understanding. I am sitting on the chair. This is an understanding. This is an it. Hence not me. Neti. All our cherished concepts, knowledge, our sense of ego, not me. Because it appears. It's an it, not me. Neti. The world is not seen, heard, smelt, tasted, or touched. I've taken my attention away from the breath. Thoughts have fallen silent. Thoughts have fallen silent. Emotions are neutral. I do not remember anything, nor do I seek to remember anything. Concepts are ignored in this deep silence. This deep silence is also experienced. It's an it. Neti, not that either. Drop that deep silence. Turn inwards from the deep silence unto yourself. Beyond the deep silence, deeper than the deep silence, into the nameless, yet the certain existence of yourself. To the deep silence of utter blankness, say, Neti, not even this. I am not the object body, I am not the object breath, I am not the object thought, I am not the object concepts, even these concepts. I am not the object blankness left after everything is dismissed. Neti, neti. That I am to which all of these appear, function, and disappear. Clearly I am, and I shine because all of these appear to me. The world appears to me, the body appears to me, the breath appears to me, the mind appears to me, the intellect appears to me, and the blankness of deep sleep. When I dismiss everything that can be dismissed, the ensuing blankness also appears to me. But I am not an it. I am free of the world, of the body, of the breath, of the mind, of the intellect, even of the seed blankness. I am free of the waking and the dream and the deep sleep. I am that to which the physical universe and the body appear. I am that to which the breath and the subtle mind and intellect appear. I am that to which the causal darkness appears. But I am none of them. Neti, neti. I am that to which all appears. I am, I shine. In my shining, all objects, all its are revealed. And yet I am unattached. I am free. I am consciousness. And this free consciousness is bliss itself. It is Shiva. It is Shiva. Chidananda Rupa. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am of the nature of bliss, consciousness, Shiva. Right now, right here, forever, everywhere. I note that the world is a fact. It is experienced, not a theory. The body is a fact. It is experienced, not a theory. The breath is a fact. It is experienced, not a theory. The mind and the emotions and feelings, they are fact, experienced, not a theory. The intellect is a fact, experienced, not a theory. If you shut down everything, the blankness is a fact, experienced, not a theory. Wherefore, that which experiences all of these is a fact, not a theory, is the greatest fact of all facts that reveals all these facts. That is consciousness, that is Sakshi. To me, the Sakshi appears the causal darkness. And in that causal darkness appears concepts, thoughts, ego. And then appears thoughts, memories, feelings. And then I am aware of the breath, in-breath, out-breath. Then I am aware of the body sitting on the chair. Then I deploy my eyes and gently open my eyes, and the world appears to me. Open your eyes and look. You, the consciousness, you experience the mind, the breath, the body, and the world. All right. You, the consciousness, you are, that is consciousness. That's the sea we are talking about. The Sakshi, the sea which we are talking about, that's the consciousness. Now, all that I was trying to point out is, as much as we consider this world to be a fact, we consider this body to be a fact. We don't doubt it practically. We consider this breath to be a fact. It's experienced. Thoughts and feelings to be a fact. It's experienced. Intellect. And if you shut everything down, that blankness is also a vivid experience of blankness. All of them are appearing and disappearing to something which is not an it, which is not an object. That's something which surely exists and surely shines because it reveals, it experiences everything. That is called Chit, that is the sea, that is called witness consciousness. Step one. I want us to understand what this witness consciousness is first, using the intellect, and second, note that it's a fact. It has to be. No matter how new and strange it sounds, it has to be a fact. In fact, it is to that consciousness, everything else is a fact. Who notes that the intellect, mind, breath, body, world is experienced? In what is it experienced? By what is it experienced? By you, that consciousness. So Sakshi Chaitanya is an indubitable fact. It is the fact of all facts. Somebody asked, so this is a very subtle question in Advaita dialectics. What is the proof by which this consciousness is established? See, what is the proof by which this world of forms is established? Eyes. What is the proof by which the world of sounds is established, that it is existing? Ears. What is the proof? Scientific things are established by, there's a whole scientific process. It is called pramana, that establishes things which cannot be seen, heard, tasted. What is the proof by this so-called pure consciousness is established? What is the proof? That's the question. You know what is the real answer to that question? The real answer is, it is that to which all proofs appear, work, and give their results. The ground of all proofs. How are all these proofs functioning? Who experiences the results of all these proofs? To whom are these things of the world, common sense, scientific truths, all of these are established? To one consciousness, to you. To whom do the eyes bring their message, the ears bring their message, the nose and the skin and the tongue bring their message? To you, the consciousness. that one shining entity in this body-mind complex. So that is C. All right. Now still the question persists. We have an intuition, I am consciousness in this body and mind. There are so many others and millions and billions of living beings. So they are all separate consciousnesses. They seem to be separate. The sense of separateness comes from physical bodies and thoughts, which are separate. It comes from existing in the theater of Maya. Theater of Maya, the stage of Maya. What is the stage is made of wood. What is the stage of Maya made of? Space, time. Space and time, what do? They create difference. I am here, you are there. Difference. And clearly we feel two things are there. Because this one is here, that one is there. That one is there, that one is there. Then now and then. This and that. This bell, that book. This person, that person. This person, that chair. These are all differences. So three kinds of differences. Here and there, space difference. Now and then, time difference. This and that, object difference. This is the world of differences. This is the stage of Maya. What Advaita is talking about, neti neti, not this, that in which there is no here and there, no now and then, no this and that. I'm literally translating from Hindi. I heard this monk say, so जहाँ पर यहाँ और वहाँ नहीं है, अब और तब नहीं है, यह और वह नहीं है. What is that? It is that one consciousness to which all of these differences are appearing. So we must establish oneness now. What have we established? Take it step by step. Remember, we started off, I must first establish I am consciousness. Is this established? In two steps, two questions can be asked. Have you understood what was done? Mostly, I think we have understood, hopefully. And even more progress would be if you can say with some conviction that it's real. It has to be a fact, it's real. That's good. So, what have we established? See. Now the next thing we have to establish is that everything that we see, all the it, which is appearing to you, the see, it is all one with you. They are not apart from you. That see alone, you that see alone is appearing as all of this. This is second step. Then only non-duality. Otherwise what will happen is, I am consciousness, I sort of understand, but clearly mind, intellect, breath, body, and so many bodies are there, so many people are there, so difference is there. There is no non-duality. All those different its, all those objects are now to be shown to be nothing other than that pure consciousness. First, neti neti, to do what? To discover I am pure consciousness. Next, to show that everything that we experience is Brahman. Is Brahman, is pure consciousness, is you. I alone am indeed all of these. How? Here we will go into philosophy. We will use reason. All right. There are different ways of doing this. Doing what? Establishing oneness. Logically. I will take up one which impressed me. So we start here first. Now we have discovered C. But really, at this point, the materialist will come in, the ancient materialist, the Charvaka, the modern materialist, modern materialist scientist, philosopher will come in and say, yeah, but that's nothing, no big deal what you have discovered. Because this consciousness which you feel or you intuitively feel, that's just a product of brain processes. That it, which you so cavalierly dismissed, that it is producing you the consciousness. What is fundamental? Body is matter is fundamental, body is fundamental, life is fundamental, nervous system and brain are fundamental. And they are producing you. You are like the flame of a candle. If the candle is gone, flame is also gone. In fact, sometimes candle may be there, flame may not be there. Flame can never exist without the candle. You can never exist without your body. Or as one professor put it, what are we? In front of him there was a Coke bottle. So what are we? You see this bottle fizzing? You are the fizz in this bottle. This matter is fizzing. That's what you are. At one time all the gas will go out and finished. Yeah. So this is called the materialistic perspective. Object generates consciousness. What gives you the right? And this is, as I said, each of these are well-established schools of thought with plenty of arguments in order to establish their idea, and plenty of counter arguments to cut others down. So, what gives you the right to say that consciousness is nothing but matter? Your consciousness is nothing but brain. Brain is nothing but these living cells in a living body. Living cells are nothing but organic matter. Organic matter is also nothing but composed of tiny particles which are elemental. And those particles, they are atoms, and there are subatomic particles there, protons and neutrons, and they are composed of even further smaller, subtler particles called quarks, and now they are talking about superstrings, and anyway, all the way down. It's like that lady who came to Bertrand Russell and said, who gave a talk on, science and the universe as we know it in those days, 1920s, 30s. And the little old lady comes up to him and says that, very clever professor, but as we all know, the whole earth rests on a tortoise. And the professor, with a smirk, he said, yes, madam, but what does the tortoise rest on? And the lady said, that's very clever, professor, but as we all know, its tortoise is all the way down. When we look at modern cosmology and particle physics, we don't think we have come very far from tortoises all the way down. Anyway, so this is thing. Now, what gives you the right to dispute this? The right is, you get it because you cannot demonstrate consciousness through matter. As simple as that. No scientist, no neuroscientist, no philosopher of mind will claim in his right mind, in his or her right mind, that we have explained consciousness in terms of brain. They will hold the position that we can, it seems to be. There is tight correlation between your reported subjective experiences and the reports of fMRI scans. Correlation. But how little bursts of electricity in living matter are producing this vivid experience of life? You don't know. Nobody knows.
How does philosophy help you? Why can't what you say happen in future with further scientific discovery?
Yes, that's true. There's Patricia Churchland. She's a neuroscientist and a philosopher of mind. So one whole paper she has written. You don't need philosophy. All you need to do is keep on doing neuroscience. That's where David Chalmers and the hard problem of consciousness comes in. No matter how much neuroscience you do, from matter you will get only matter. Have you gotten anything so far which is other than matter through matter? So far, in all fields of science. Matter, energy, time, space. That's all. How will you explain consciousness? See, what is an explanation? At every stage it must be demonstrated. So, materials come into a production line, car production line, and at the end of the production line comes out a full car. But I can demonstrate, you can go and observe each part of the production line, how things are put together, and finally the car comes out. Not one bit is mysterious. But look at what happens here. And that also true is of everything in the body, except consciousness. And consciousness, mind also, mind consciousness. You can show the body, you can scan the nervous system, the brain, you can go down to the cellular level, neuronal level, you can show the chemistry of it, you can show the electrical activity in the brain, you can scan through fMRI scans. Modern technology gives you subtler and subtler, closer and closer looks at what's going on in the brain. But at every point it is observable matter. Where is the sense, and forget about pure consciousness. Where is sensation? Where is thought? Where is emotion? Another way, doctors will appreciate this. Notice what is going on in my body. Your doctor actually knows much more about it than you do. But what is going on in your mind, you know much more about it than the doctor does. Doctor can sort of vaguely predict, you might be thinking this or feeling this. Nowadays they have included pain sensation. On a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10, how much pain are you feeling? Does the doctor ask, what is your hemoglobin level, what is your sugar level, what is your cholesterol level? Does the doctor, how much cholesterol are you feeling now? No. Doctor knows far better than you, because they're all material things. About your subjective feelings, why the doctor can't say anything? Can make some crude predictions, that's all. Yes.
But Swami, there has come up with AI technology that can read brain signals and it can perform actions that you're thinking.
Yes. So it can read brain signals and translate them into certain action. But can it tell you what you're thinking? It can predict what you're thinking. But what is the verification? What is the verification? You will have to say, yes, it predicted correctly. In case of your heart or kidney or liver, nothing you say is of any use. The doctor doesn't care. Doctor goes on pathology reports. So that's why neuroscience says there is a close connection between brain and your subjective experience. But can you show from the brain activity and the subjective, like the car coming out of the factory, can you show like that? Every step of the way. Here is the brain, the last thing is a little burst of electricity, and here is the sensation of red. No, you can't. That sensation of red, only that person can report. Yeah.
Near-death experiences seem to disprove the top theory.
Yes. Near-death experiences, that another thing, when the body is destroyed, brain stops functioning, and that person comes back luckily, and then with the brain kicks back into action, and the person reports, when the brain was not functioning, reports conscious experience. How? But there's an answer to that. The answer to that, there's no answer to this hard problem of consciousness from a material perspective. From a material perspective, there's an answer to that. Answer is that brain was not really dead, you were hallucinating. Though there are so many data points to show that he couldn't have been hallucinating. There's a lot of material that has been accumulated, but see, the whole data is ignored. You know why? Because the paradigm is this paradigm. It has to be objective, it has to be based on matter. One professor, philosophy of mind, Tim something, he came from Cambridge, he was giving a talk at NYU. NYU luckily has the best philosophy of mind department in the entire philosophy departments of the whole world. So there I remember I attended a seminar where this professor was saying, he's a leading philosopher of mind, he was saying, the scientific method worked very well. And the scientific method is to exclude the subject from all kinds of experiments and studies. You are the studying subject, but you exclude yourself as far as possible and study it objectively. Why? Because it works well. That gives you clean data and clean analysis which is irrespective of the subject. But that was as long as you are studying the object. It works up to the body also. But when it comes to the mind, it stops working. You will have to include the subject. And when the object of study is the subject itself, then you can no longer exclude, then you can no longer exclude the subject. Then it leads to ridiculous things like this. We are going to study consciousness. And one of the interesting areas of study of consciousness is the consciousness of octopus. Why would you do that? Consciousness is directly available to all of you all the time. Because we don't study the subject, we want to study it objectively. So, in Bengali they say, instead of catching the nose like this, you catch the nose like, in many Indian languages this is there. Yeah, that's another kind of pranayama, but Shankaracharya would say, you're torturing the nose. Yeah, so anyway, this is the whole materialism debate. And now it is being challenged, not from an ancient philosophical perspective, which it has always been challenged, in ancient India especially, and then in ancient Greece also. In ancient China also. So this paradigm has been challenged. But now it is being challenged from science, from neuroscience, cognitive science, from particle physics. I don't understand the physics of it, but it's being challenged like that. I met with at least 3 scientists and thinkers who are leading this debate. David Chalmers, who coined the term hard problem of consciousness. Bernardo Kastrup, he holds PhDs in both, I think, computer science and philosophy. Then just recently, Donald Hoffman, that will be uploaded, the talk, who is a professor at UC Irvine. So their conclusions are startlingly and unapologetically Vedantic, that the world is actually an appearance in consciousness. So Donald Hoffman, for example, says things like, we have the intuitive feeling this world exists. When I look away, it still exists. You're all there. And I look away, I am seeing what is happening now. What you are existing, that thing is coming into my mind through the senses. It's being reported in the mind. That's what we feel. He says, no. He says, from neuroscientific studies itself, we begin to see what we are seeing is being continuously rendered. He uses the word rendered, like computers render. He says in a computer simulation, when you enter a 3D environment, it's not that the environment is there for you to see when you turn around. No, as you turn around, the computer generates it for you. It renders it, paints it for you. As you turn away, it's gone. It's a waste of computer resources to keep generating things. As your attention is, so the world will be rendered for you in a 3D. He says the brain does exactly the same thing. And that's not philosophical speculation. He says, I can demonstrate that. It is now sort of being seen in the neuroscience of vision. Continuously, brain is rendering the world in vision, in sound. Not only rendering it, it is completing, it is constructing it also. Information comes from outside, it paints that world and then joins the dots to show you. So that's the psychology and the neuroscience of visual optical illusions. It's the brain generating some connections. So I said, see, this is a even more radical school of Advaita Vedanta called Drishti Shrishti Vada. The world exists only when you see it. You don't see it, you don't exist. Now you exist.
So, but you said brain is rendering.
Brain is rendering.
Brain is an object.
Yeah, brain is rendering it. And from there, how does it come to consciousness? No idea. Nobody has an idea. So anyway, so this is one part of it. The second part, then we came to the... So here we have to move ahead because we cannot account for mind and consciousness here. The next one is consciousness generates the object. It is produced by consciousness. Produced, made, created. Who says that? All theistic religions. God created this world. Brahma Sutras, the second sutra. Janmadhyasya yataha. The creation, existence and destruction of the universe, from that which it comes, that is Brahman. That is the standard idea of all religions which believe in God. God created the world. There is some cause behind all causes, and that is the first cause. There is no cause beyond that. God is the creator. And here the standard objections against all theism will apply. Notice, it's not a demonstrated fact. People can believe in God, may not believe in God. More and more people don't believe in God. A skeptic for a scientific approach, very difficult to generate. See, your original question, Rama's original question, that by doing more neuroscientific research, we can answer this question that object, brain produces consciousness. That's what Patricia Churchland, a leading philosopher and neuroscientist, said. But I think the very incisive answer we get from Ed Witten, who is a string theorist in the Institute of Advanced Studies in Princeton. Somebody said he's the nearest thing we have got to Einstein living today. A very brilliant man. Not a neuroscientist, but see the insight, simple insight. Suddenly someone, it's on YouTube, suddenly someone asked him in the midst of questions on physics and string theory, what about consciousness? Do you think we will understand consciousness as we do more and more neuroscience? He said, as we do more and more neuroscience, we will come to understand more and more about the brain, but consciousness will remain a mystery. You'll still get more and more subtle understandings of the material, but you're assuming that the material is somehow producing it. So the more we understand it, then we will finally understand how it's producing. But maybe it's not producing. That's one answer to that. Another answer is from the philosopher Galen Strawson, who retired from the University of Texas. He wrote in the New York Times that the hard problem of matter He says, not hard problem of consciousness, it's hard problem of matter. He says, consciousness is obvious to all of us. We are all conscious. Who is not conscious? We are all conscious. This discussion is taking place in consciousness. Now, what is mysterious is the it. You are aware. And to you, mind appears, breath appears, body appears, world appears. What is this it? This one. This is the question. You are there, why would you have any question about yourself? You are obviously there. That something is appearing to you. What is that is the question. That he says hard problem of matter. He says there is no hard problem of consciousness. Why are you talking about hard problem of consciousness? Because he says very incisively, you have assumed brain is producing consciousness. Step 1. Step 2, you can't explain how brain is producing consciousness. Hence hard problem. But the other way around, what is matter? That is the problem. And then he says the study of matter, physics, chemistry and so on, as we study the it, the matter, the object appearing to consciousness, as we study it, it is disappearing before our very eyes. It's becoming more and more mysterious. The more our knowledge advances. Particle physics, it's disappearing. It's turning into, matter is turning into this extraordinarily exotic, somebody said, like a zoo. So many of these quarks. One physicist said, if I had known that one day I would have to classify so many of these fundamental particles, I would have become a biologist rather than a physicist. Biologist, so many species and classification. It's becoming more and more mysterious. And from their superstrings they're talking about, to us, at least non-specialists, it just looks like mathematics. It doesn't look like that. John Wheeler, I think, he said, it from bit. Or somebody said, it from bit. I gave a talk on that, it from bit from chit. From consciousness comes mind, from mind comes matter. All right, so this is the standard. Any objection you have against God, that applies here. Difficult to justify. Third, consciousness is obvious, matter is obvious. Both exist. Why is there such a problem? And both are interacting. Sankhya theory, yoga theory, and modern panpsychism, which is being propagated by David Chalmers and others. They say modern panpsychism, that consciousness is a fundamental reality of this universe, and they are interacting. Problem lies in this one then. This is obvious, I am conscious, this is obvious, some matter is there. Problem lies in this interaction. How do utterly different things interact? I can give nice examples glibly, like light is the same and all objects are illumined by light. But light and these objects are both material. They can interact. Light can reflect of these objects. But they are both material things. But how can consciousness interact with matter?
Can't not trace the positive to solve that problem?
Even then it doesn't work. I'll tell you why. The original duality in Descartes said there is mind and matter, mind and body. You all feel mind, we are all mental. They don't talk about, I don't say we are all mental, that means something else. So we are all mind, and we also clearly have a body. And this mind and body are interacting. This is what a human being is, or any sentient being. But how does mind and body interact? It's in the brain. But where in the brain? Where will they come in contact? To interact, you need to come in contact. Where does a thought come in contact with the neuron? This may not be the right way to think about it, but still, where does the thought come in contact with the neuron? The point where mind and brain come in contact, that point, is it body or is it mind? There is a correspondence between Descartes and Princess Elizabeth or something. She was his student, and she was a brilliant young woman, very ahead of her time. At a time when many women did not have access to education, she was self-taught, and she corresponded with the leading philosophers and mathematicians and scientists at that time. So the letters are very interesting. She says, it's because of my poor feminine intellect, I think, I cannot grasp this idea. Where is the mind interacting with the physiology, with the body? And Descartes knew this was a weak point in his whole theory. So he said, there is the pituitary gland. No, pineal gland. Pineal gland, where the mind and the body are interacting. And she writes that, again, because of my weak intellect, but it seems to be pineal gland is part of the body. Where is the mind there? At which point will it interact? Then Descartes came up with this theory of vapors. There are gases everywhere. And because that's a little more subtle than the pineal gland. So that the mind pushes the vapors around, and the vapor pushes the pineal gland, and the pineal gland pushes the rest of the brain and the nervous system. But I think she understood. There is no answer to this question. Interactionism doesn't work.
Swamiji, but why does Vedanta say that mind is also subtle matter?
Yes, because it's an object.
Ah,
So object, see, mind is also matter. People might think mind-body dualism. Vedanta says, see, modern scientists would say that so-called mind is also matter. This materialist will say. Vedanta also says mind is matter. Vedanta has a very, very clear, elegant definition of matter. Anything that is experienced is matter. Anything that you can designate as it or that is matter. Because it appears to consciousness. Does mind appear to consciousness? Do thoughts appear? Do you experience thoughts? Yes. Do you experience pain, pleasure, happiness, misery? Yes. Then they are all matter. They are not you. If they are matter, what kind of matter are there? So that's why Vedanta is all taken from Sankhya. Vedanta, see what Vedanta does is, it takes from various philosophies. Nyaya. Whole Vedantic logic is borrowed from Nyaya. The external world, how will you describe this physical world first? All borrowed from Vaisheshika. And developed further by Sankhyan cosmology, the entire universe. And then the idea of pure consciousness. Vedanta, pure consciousness. Not at all, it's Sankhya. It's borrowed from Sankhya. How to interpret the Upanishads? Borrowed from Purva Mimamsa. Take it all together and put I am Brahman on top of it and seal the package. But because it's mine, it's Advaita Vedanta. But if you open it up, take a look inside, made in China. So Vedanta is totally dependent on all the brilliant insights of many philosophers, not just Sankhya, not just Yoga, not just Purva Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, but also of plenty of Buddhist great masters, Dharmakirti, Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna, tremendous work they had done. I remember studying this Indo-Tibetan Madhyamaka, 1,000 years of Buddhist philosophical development in the Madhyamaka school. And I asked the professor, Garfield, that can I think of this? So when I look at Advaita Vedanta, it looks like a very nice, like a nice apartment complex. When I look at this, what we are studying, it looks like the terrible mess which was the construction site for that apartment complex. Can I think of it like this? And he chuckled and said, yeah, that's true. What you see as a finished product after 3,000 to 4,000 years of philosophical development today as post-Shankara Advaita, classical Advaita. And then further elaborations now, Vijnana Vedanta, all are coming. All of these developed over thousands of years. And when you take a view for 1,000-year history of development of Madhyamaka school in Tibet, in India and Tibet, you see the construction, how the building is slowly coming up. The materials are being gathered and they're building it up slowly. Anyway, interactionism doesn't work, so I'm giving you a very sweeping view of this.
Just to bring her point forward, she just reduced the mind also to be a subtle matter.
So matter
Ah.
and matter can interact.
All right, so the question is this. So what is anything that appears to consciousness is matter? Okay? But notice the two kinds of things which appear to you. One is this. Do you all see it? Now wait. You see this? All of us see the same thing. But now I am imagining it. Can you see what I am imagining? But for me, both are objects. This is an object. When I clearly imagine the pen, that's also an object to me. The two kinds of objects, one is public, one is private. One is gross, one is subtle. And therefore, very simply, the Sankhyan philosopher said, matter is of two kinds, subtle and gross. Sukshma, sthula. And then it solves the mind-matter interaction problem also. Because in principle, subtle and gross are both matter, objects. They can interact in principle. How, we don't know, but they can interact. There's no problem. They're both it. They're both things. Mind is a thing, this is a thing. They can interact. Why not? It's not diametrically opposite like in Descartes. However, it still doesn't solve the problem. Sankhya still has the problem of, then how does mind interact with consciousness? Mind is an object. Consciousness is not an object. How did they interact? Where? If they touch, if they interact, that point of interact, is it an object or is it a subject?
Right.
Same question of Princess Elizabeth will apply. Then you have to invent vapors.
So when the categories are different, then yes.
When the categories are tremendously different, then this huge question comes up.
Correct.
In between, I will just skip over this school. This is another track of development, very sophisticated. 1,000-year development, more than 1,000 years. It was quite incredible. At the Harvard Divinity School, we were studying these texts, which came primarily from Nagarjuna, Mula Madhyamaka Karika, about 2,000 years ago. Developed in India for nearly 1,000 years through Chandrakirti and others, did not undergo much development. Then the Madhyamaka school was transmitted to Tibet. Then for another 800 to 900 years of further development of schools and schools and schools coming up, like a fermentation on the icy plateaus of Tibet. Didn't have much else to do. So it's all empty. And the logic of emptiness, shunyata. And then translated into almost incomprehensible English and served up in Boston, in Cambridge and Harvard. So from ancient Sanskrit to Tibetan to modern English. It was quite an experience. What a journey of this text. From the plains of India to the University of Nalanda to the icy wastelands of Tibet to modern day America. So very interesting. But anyway, that's another, I'm not going there. They will say both this consciousness and the object are empty. And then there appear, both appearances. Appearances in what? Shh. Don't speak.
So they're talking about Chidabhasa. This
Yeah, Chidabhasa, yeah. Now, finally, this one. This one says, the fifth one, this is the Advaita perspective. Consciousness is the only reality. The object is not a reality, fundamental reality. Object is nothing but consciousness. Then the interaction problem is solved. How? Because if it's nothing but consciousness, then consciousness can interact with consciousness. Things can appear in consciousness. What is the problem? Things do always appear in consciousness.
The categories are merged.
Merged means collapsed. These categories collapsed into consciousness. They are trying to collapse the consciousness into object. It's exactly the opposite of materialism. You're collapsing the object into the consciousness. How dare you do that? What is your justification? What seems to be clearly different? How are you collapsing it back into consciousness? I'll give you the one word, the core idea, then expand upon it. The core idea is adhyasa, imposition, superimposition. Superimposition, adhyasa says, it's not a question of interaction. Interaction is only when there are two equal realities which come in contact. But there's another option which you are forgetting. It could be that one reality appearing to itself as its other. How does that happen? It happens all the time. In your dream it happens. You, the dreamer, appear to yourself as a whole dream world. And there's no problem in interacting there because whatever is in the dream world is basically your mind only. Similarly, here, one thing cannot be denied. See, you're collapsing the object back into consciousness in Advaita. You're collapsing consciousness back into object in science or materialism. Why would you prefer this than to that? Vivekananda says, because this has an internal testimony. Your direct experience is object appears to you, the consciousness. Why we need to prove consciousness, why consciousness becomes mysterious is because of the third person perspective. We leave consciousness out of it. We take only the world of objects. And then you cannot leave consciousness out because you are conscious. Then you have to explain consciousness in terms of the object. And you're trying to push consciousness back into the object. That's what modern science is trying to do, mainstream science. Luckily, people are questioning it now. Advaita Vedanta has the advantage of just go by your experience. In your experience, the world, the object appears to you. This is called superimposition. Consciousness appearing to itself. Like a rope appearing like a snake, you, the consciousness, appears like your universe. What is that universe? You, the consciousness. So the object appears in consciousness. But remember, when it appears in consciousness, when I keep saying you, I don't mean this you. This you is already a particularized you. The stage of Maya first appears, space which separates us as yahan, wahan, here and there. The stage of Maya appears as time which separates us then and now and then. Stage of Maya appears as objects, as this and that. So it seems to be clearly a universe of difference. Otherwise, universe will not be possible. This it will not be possible without difference. So first Maya creates or appears as difference, and then Brahman appears as all objects, as time and space, and all objects separated by time and space, as a dynamic universe. Vivekananda put it this way: the universe is the wreckage of the infinite on the shores of time, space, and causation. This universe is the wreckage. Luckily, it's not wrecked, it's there. The wreckage of the infinite on the shores of time, space, and causation. That which is one appears as many. Why? Because of time, space, and causation. That which is perfect appears as imperfect because of time, space, and causation. That which is unchanging appears as the changing. That which is ever fulfilled appears as the ever striving. Because of time, space, and causation. Then what is this time, space, and causation? Vivekananda says they have even less existence than the objects. They are like ghosts. So that's the peculiar power by which consciousness projects itself as its own objects. How it does so, this is the short answer. The long answer, I will just write it down here. If you have questions, we will take it up later because we are running out of time. 12:15, right? So let me write it down. What am I going to write it down? I'm going to reduce the universe into consciousness in 7 stages. Where did I get this? I heard it from the Puri Shankaracharya, Nishchalananda Saraswati, in one sentence. See, even this I heard from one monk in one sentence, all of this. In one sentence, with commas between. And the 7 stages also in one sentence. It took him less than a minute to say it. But it's a panoptic vision of entirety of 3,000 to 4,000 years of Indian philosophy of consciousness. So, what is the object? Take this universe as it is, objective universe, and show that it is pure consciousness, only consciousness. Okay. I'll write down the Sanskrit words and then quickly tell you what it means and stop. Jagat, it means world. What world? This one, right now. Second, Pancha Bhuta Vilasa. The expansion of, the play of 5 elements. What is this world? Matter, energy, time, space. At this point, no scientist will disagree. Yeah, this is this. It's composed. There's some fundamental reality here. There are particles and energy and all of that. The ancients will say 5 elements are there. This world is nothing but 5 elements. Then, Maya Vilasa. Vilasa means expansion or play. Maya. What are the 5 elements? They have come from Maya. All of these have to be explained carefully. Maya is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, is the creative power of Ishvara. That itself appears as the 5 elements which can combine and produce this world. Then, what is Maya? Maya is basically the power of consciousness, power of Ishvara. So, Chit Vilasa. If you combine it, it will become Chit Vilasa. Chit Vilasa. Play of consciousness. Maya is the play of consciousness. Here, at this level is the whole of Kashmiri Shaivism. In fact, the head of the Siddha Yoga or something is Chit Vilasananda Swamini is there. Chit Vilasan, that's the name. Chit Vilasa, the play of consciousness, the vibration of consciousness. Then the question is asked, does consciousness play or vibrate, or do things appear in consciousness? When you experience, is it consciousness vibrating? Do you feel a little tremor somewhere? No. What does consciousness do? It experiences. That's all it does. Things appear in consciousness. That is called Chit Vivarta. Chit means consciousness. Vivarta. Vivarta means appearance. Then, 6th. So it's like, it's not that consciousness is vibrating or playing. It is that consciousness is appearing as other than itself. Rope is appearing as the snake. The mind, the waker is appearing as the dream world, in the dream. Chit Vivarta. Vivarta means appearance of something without actual transformation. Consciousness has not been transformed, nor vibrated, nor does anything. Then, next, Chinmaya. What does this mean? Pervaded by consciousness. So whatever is an appearance in consciousness must be pervaded through and through by consciousness. The snake which appears in the rope by mistake, every bit of that so-called snake is the rope. The dream universe which appears in your dreams. Every bit of the dream universe, all living beings, their people, their places, their activities there are nothing but your dreaming mind. All of that. It's just pervaded through and through by the dreaming mind. The snake is pervaded through and through by the rope. Our universe of experience is pervaded through and through by the consciousness in which it is experienced. But pervaded, something is pervaded. Pervasion can be of two types. One is the pervasion, if I light incense, slowly the incense will pervade the entire room. There is a room, a space which is pervaded by incense. Or I switch on the light, instantly the light spreads across the room. The room existed earlier and the light pervades the room. Is it like that? Is there a universe and then consciousness comes and pervades the universe? Or there's a second kind of pervasion, which is the brass pervading the bowl, which means the bowl is made of brass. The bowl is nothing but brass. Universe pervaded by consciousness means the universe is nothing but consciousness. In Sanskrit, chinmatra, consciousness only. Now look, these 7 stages, what are we talking about? We're talking about the universe. How do you proceed? Start with universe, Jagat. Second, see that same universe is just matter, energy, time, space, or the 5 elements. Same universe is basically nothing but Maya. Every person in every village in India will say, Sab Maya hai, it's all Maya. It's that. But Maya is like the fire, heat of fire, light of fire is not different from fire. The power of Ishvara is not different from Ishvara. It is basically consciousness itself. Consciousness, the power of consciousness. So it's consciousness playing. It's consciousness vibrating. It's the power of it's consciousness expressing itself in whatever way you put it. Chid Vilasa. But can consciousness express, play, vibrate? Take a feel for it right now in our ordinary whatever we understand of consciousness. No. It just illumines. It just experiences. Every vibration, play, the logic is that if it's a vibration or a play, it will be an object then again to consciousness.
Power. Like if it is a power, it's an attribute. Right?
It's an attribute, exactly. So consciousness, it does not have an attribute or play or we are not stipulating. We try to understand it and see the nature of it. Consciousness, what it is, if it has an attribute, that attribute will become an object. If it has an activity, that will become an object. If it has a vibration, it will become an object. So it is just an appearance of consciousness or in consciousness. Consciousness appearing to itself. But every appearance is pervaded by what it appears in. And that appearance is like that brass and the bowl. Through and through consciousness only. What is through and through consciousness only? This universe. Thank you very much. Not me. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.